Hey guys, welcome back. Now, 6 months after the historic launch of the Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum just had its own IPO moment with its own ETF. Now, the big question is, was this a massive success for Ethereum or a bit of a nothing burger? Well, the first day of trading results are in, and I think they just might surprise you. And so, to cover this historic day in this video, we'll be looking at, firstly, we'll quickly cover how companies like BlackRock are choosing to sell Ethereum. Is it digital oil? Is it the world computer? The tokenization of real-world assets? We'll find out. We'll then take a closer look at the price action for the day, what exactly happened, and then we'll finish digging into the data and we'll see, was this in fact a big success or not? Okay, so first up, before we jump in and take a look at the results, here is how BlackRock, the world's largest money manager, is choosing to sell Ethereum to the masses. So how about this as a great place to start? This is the homepage of BlackRock's website, only the largest money manager in the world. And what do we see? On the homepage, they are shilling their new Ethereum ETF. So this in itself is a monumental moment for the crypto market and something a couple of years ago no one would have predicted. So they've called theirs ETH-A, or they're probably going for Ether, though I do think if they did iBit for their Bitcoin ETF, probably iETH would have been better, as obviously they trade through iShares. Anyway, when I watched a recent commercial by BlackRock, of all the things they chose to put Ethereum as, the key thing mentioned was decentralized applications. So a little bit like Apple has the App Store, these will be decentralized apps, which is what we'll look at in a second. So it's a pure tech play. Now, when they sit down with clients, it's a very easy sell. As we look at Ethereum's unique addresses, this is something I like to show, as it's the ecosystem in just one nice chart. And this is what people want to see: nice, consistent, massive growth and strong network effects. And so Ethereum doesn't just have millions of people, not even tens of millions, it's now into the hundreds of millions of users. So very, very healthy network. And when it came to decentralized applications, this is why Ethereum stands out. Now, although when it comes to the actual number of applications, BNB is doing well with the most, 5,500 compared to about 4,500. But when you sort it by volume going through these applications, Ethereum is absolutely crushing it. So where BNB is doing about 20 billion a month, Ethereum is doing 220. And then it dramatically falls off: 4 billion, 1 billion, 111, less than 1. So when it comes to these decentralized applications, Ethereum is crushing it. And last thing to cover on the actual ecosystem, I went away and took a look what is going on with the developers, and in a way this is like smart money. These are the guys that actually know what's going on in crypto. The best ecosystems are going to get the developers. So this is a great way to actually look at the top 10. And what does it say? Well, a couple of things. One is that Ethereum is also crushing it when it comes to developers. And if we look just at the top 5, which is where the vast majority of developers are, number 1 is Ethereum. Number 2, Base, built in Ethereum. Polygon, built into Ethereum. We have Polkadot and Arbitrum, built in Ethereum. So they have 4 of the 5 when it comes to developers. Now, what's interesting, last time I looked at this, Base was not even on the map, and they've jumped straight into position 2. Now this obviously is just a screenshot, but there's dozens and dozens and dozens of different protocols. This is just the top 10, and Base has jumped into number 2. So this is very interesting what's going on here. So I would say, based on this, no pun intended, I think we're going to see some massive things coming from Coinbase and Base in this next cycle. However, Scroll, another Ethereum layer 2, has just jumped onto the map as well. So is Ethereum dead this cycle? Well, clearly not, and the developers know this. Now let's jump in and see what happened yesterday. We had the Ethnos stakes. All the competitors were lined up and Ethereum had its big ETF launch. And thanks to the guys at Bloomberg, we now have the data. So normally you will just get a single ETF launch. But this year we're treated to another crypto extravaganza when 9 went live all at the same time, which is pretty cool. A lot of the starting fees have been waived for a period of time before they actually kick into the normal fee. And considering historically managed funds can be about 1% or 1.5%, these are very, very cheap, which is great to see. And it's Coinbase that has benefited by taking the vast majority of the assets under management. So one popped in, Vanek for Gemini, Fidelity being pretty cool by managing their own assets, but it's Coinbase that's massively benefiting again from these ETFs. And the last thing to note on this is that Grayscale's trust is putting in a massive 2.5% fee. So again, a huge fee sticking from Grayscale, and we can see what effect this has had on the first day of trading. So let's take a look at what happened with price. So jumping on to an Ethereum USD chart, and yesterday was the historic launch. So if we zoom in, this was the candle from yesterday, and we only pretty much saw a 1% increase, which, if we didn't even know that the ETFs were launching, you'd say that all in all, you probably couldn't even tell that this launch happened. It doesn't look that dissimilar to the previous 7 days of trading. So let's be honest, most of the people watching this, we care about price going up. So let's be honest, this was a little bit underwhelming. At first glance, you'd have to say it was a bit of a nothing burger. And where do we think price will be going over the coming days? Well, we can take a look at Bitcoin and see what happened with the Bitcoin ETF launch. Now, one of the big differences with Bitcoin is that there was a massive build up to the ETF launch. Remember, this was the most successful ETF launch in history, and there was a massive build up, going from about 26,000 all the way up to almost 50,000. Then at the time of launch, this was a bit of a sell the news event. So there was a good 10-20% pullback, which I'm not sure is going to happen this time because we didn't get a big build up. And then obviously there was a massive move from 40,000 to almost 75,000. So it looks to me that the Bitcoin ETFs were pretty much in its own category and doesn't really help to predict what's coming in the future. I think the bigger market cycle has way more impact than these ETF launches had. And finally, to finish up, before we think this wasn't a big success, let's just take a look at the results. So again, thanks to the guys at Bloomberg for the data, and the results are in. On the first day, collectively, there was over $1 billion of volume. And when we say volume, this is total liquidity. So this is money going in and out, traders and hodlers, in total volume flowing in and out of 1 billion, which compared to normal launches is actually massive, to the tune of 100 times larger than your average ETF launch. And the only thing that dwarfed this was the Bitcoin ETFs, which did over 4 billion, so 4 times the size. Now, breaking this down even further, we can see the flows in and out. So once we account for everything, money coming in, money going out, there was a net increase of just over 100 million. So 100 million going into the Ethereum ecosystem. And that is why we only saw about 1% movement on the price. And with a 2.5% fee, it was the Grayscale Ethereum Trust that had a massive dump out on the market. There was in fact a massive amount of selling. Almost $500 million was just Grayscale getting out of this high fee ETF. And finally, just to show the right perspective, this year there's been about 600 ETF launches. And if you strip out BTC, this is the top 20 or so. And as you can see, these new Ethereum ETFs have absolutely dominated the front page when it comes to new launches. So this is causing a ruckus in the traditional financial world. And obviously, if you add the Bitcoin ones as well, the top 20 is dominated by Bitcoin and Ethereum. So when it comes to ETF launches, the traditional financial world can no longer ignore crypto. Six months after the historic launch of the Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum just had its own IPO moment into the traditional financial world. Now, although price only moved about 1% on the day, compared to general ETF launches, they were a massive success, doing over 1 billion in volume, of which about 100 million was net inflows. And for context, this is about 100 times bigger than your general ETF launch. So a massive success. And I think it's official, the traditional financial world can no longer ignore crypto. As for Ethereum's fundamentals, I think they've never looked better. Massive network adoption, BlackRock shilling Ethereum from its homepage, Ethereum dominating in DeFi, Ethereum dominating the industry's developers, Ethereum dominating decentral applications. It now has its own ETF, and this bull market is just getting started. And so, wrapping up, although bigger price movements on the day would have been the icing on the cake, all in all, it was a massive success for Ethereum. So, there you are guys, hope you enjoyed. Now, let me know your thoughts and comments below. However, just remember, to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments, we are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.